President Biden, will you be honoring your campaign pledge to release all of the marijuana inmates in prison?
I don't think anyone should be in prison for the use of marijuana. We're working on the front room. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's talk about what happened this last week. I also want to talk about this week because this is probably one of the most important weeks this year as far as the earnings season. Plus we got Tilray reporting and we got tomorrow for SNDL. We're having that meeting again because we did not reach that quorum. Plus I want to talk to you about Project Jupiter. What is that and why is it important when it comes to SNDL? Before we get into all of this, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and give the video a big thumbs up. President Joe Biden told reporters that he's working on fulfilling his campaign pledge to free cannabis prisoners. I don't think anyone should be in prison for the use of marijuana. This happened this last week. Now let's talk about this earnings week because we do have Tilray on Thursday. Now Monday's very important for SNDL because they're going to have that meeting again, and all of those measures I believe will be passed with the management's recommendation of yes. So no matter if you did vote previously, which only 12.95% did, and I'll be sharing with you if you missed it, all of that call at the end of this video. We've also got Alphabet, we've got Microsoft, we've got McDonald's, Chipotle, you name it. We've got Meta, we've got Amazon, we've got Apple. This is a massive week. I really want to watch Intel because if Intel pulls back, that could be a major opportunity because maybe Shanghai, China, the shutdowns with COVID caused them not to meet their projections, but they're supposed to have a strong Q3, Q4. That could be a huge opportunity leading up to August 5th with the CHIPS Act. Now we've also got ExxonMobil, we've got Chevron. These could be big numbers for this previous quarter. Now let's take a look at Monday, July 25th, 2022 at 8 a.m. Now that's going to be about 11 on the East Coast. For those of you looking for that volatility play, right there at 11 o'clock, 11:30, you could see something happen with this share price for SNDL. Now at the time of the meeting, it was adjourned and proxies have been submitted by shareholders representing 12.95%. I was part of that 12.95%. There were a lot of people and even some influencers, content creators that even admitted to not voting at all, not even trying to vote. I think it was in your benefit to vote, and we lost an opportunity to send a clear message to the management team that we did not want a reverse stock split to happen, that we wanted Alcana's numbers to speak for themselves, and we failed to do that. I didn't fail. A lot of you failed to do that out there. Just want to be completely honest with you that, you should have taken the time to vote your shares. For those of you that did, congratulations, you sent the message. Now let's see what happens. I believe what's going to happen is everything that I've been saying previous to this, that reverse stock split's going to happen. We'll probably get the notification officially either tomorrow or the following day, but I expect to hear that with this market volatility that we see coming up. Now, I've been watching oil, I've been watching copper, and they're both coming down, just leading indicators that are saying that we are going towards a slower economy. So I'd continue watching those. Make sure you put those in the 6-month chart. We've got gas that's pulling back, which is a good sign because we want lower gas prices. Obviously we want to see lower demand there, but we want to meet the supply. So copper should not be going down to the extent that it is, even if commodities are pulling back, and you can see how that's sharply pulling back. We want to see that tick up. Now on Wednesday, we've got the Fed, right, at 2:30. So we're expecting to see that volatility leading up to that meeting, and then possibly some market relief depending on how those major stocks that are market movers, those tech stocks, report. And, it's just going to depend on whether or not they had the modeling to give good guidance and if they plan on doing any changes to that guidance. So if they stick to their guidance, it'll be good. But now we've got those jobless claims, and maybe after the meeting, before the market closes, you see another pullback in volatility leading up to those jobless claims numbers increasing. So we're expecting to see the unemployment rate increase to about 4%. It was sitting at about 3.6%. Now, the Fed should come in at 0.75. I don't think he's going to increase to 100 basis points, but some people are saying, is he going to come out more hawkish? I think that they're starting to see indicators that demand is slowing, and it doesn't look like the government's doing much to increase supply, and that's really what we need to do. We need to increase supply to meet demand. Now, copper prices are dropping. I mean, we're seeing those global economic indicators slow, and that's just a concern as far as the automobile industry. You know, I mean, they're supposed to be using levels of copper that are much, much, much more for EV in the future. So it's a concern there. In the housing market, it's a concern, and that's a global slowing down of the use of copper. So why shares of these cannabis stocks pulled back? And long-awaited Senate bill to decriminalize marijuana at the federal level in the U.S. was introduced today, and this was at the close of last week, but you've seen a pullback in those stocks. And I agree with what Motley Fool's had to say in this article. I think that you're going to need to see that bipartisan support. Now, Odyssey is one thing that you're going to hear in this video that I have the taping, the recording. For those of you that want to hear exactly what was covered in that call, I want to make sure I give all of you a good update. Odyssey basically put together the script and everything that they're using to go through this process that they're going through now. And that's why they were talking about some of the cost of postponing this and doing it again, because they have to participate. Now, I wanted to tell you about Project Jupiter, and that's what this Cannabis cell is called. And I've got these 6 investment highlights that are in the Discord. If you join the Discord, I've got all of this information in a folder. Feel free to pause the screen, check it out, but there's 6 investment highlights for Cannabis. Now, you know how I feel about Cannabis. If you watched that video that I did before, this is a cash burning organization, but it's going to take time for them to work through this timeline and hit these SISP milestone dates. And I think this could be a catalyst when Sundial gets this business, when they acquire. I believe that they will win ultimately. And around August 15th, I would look for an update from the leadership team. And I'm also looking for Sundial to announce their official earnings date. That could also be a catalyst, but we're waiting for this to pull back. Either 20 to 40%, somewhere within that range. The reverse stock split, 1 to 25, 1 to 20. I mean, that's not what we want to see. We want it on the lower end. We want to see this reverse stock split on the lower end, so that way it still remains liquid. Because if we look at the volatility and what was trading at the end of last week, Sundial Growers was number 17 as far as market volume, and we're also looking to see how this trades after a reverse stock split, and this pulls back even more. So it's sitting at about 31 cents, right there around 31, 33 cents last week. But you can see that this has pretty much been going sideways. And there's a few others that I'd like to point out on here before we go into this last video, the recording for those of you that want to watch it, Snap. Now, the last time that Snap pulled back, it pulled back Pinterest, and I believe there's going to be a huge buying opportunity for Pinterest. I like the changes that are happening in this organization. And the last time Snap pulled back, it pulled back Pinterest and created a buying opportunity. Also this weekend, the WHO organization declared an emergency, a global emergency for monkeypox. And there's 2 stocks that I talked about in the Patreon and in the Discord, so be sure to check those out. That's all I got. I'm going to turn it back over to you guys. Be sure to watch this content. If you missed out on that call, check for that link in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.
There is not a quorum present for this meeting, and as such, the only item of business at today's meeting shall be to adjourn the meeting. Shareholders can submit questions at any time. And if you have a question, please click the Ask a Question tab at the top right of your webcast page. Please read the instructions in the text box before submitting your question. Once you've finished typing out your question, click the Submit button. The secretary will receive the questions, and at the appropriate time, we'll read them out in order for everyone to be aware with the questions being dealt with. Please note that due to time constraints, we may not be able to answer all questions today. The annual and special meeting will now come to order. Sundial's corporate secretary, Christine Dow, will act as secretary of the meeting, and representatives from the Odyssey Trust Company will act as scrutineer of the meeting. The notice calling this meeting, as well as the information circular of Sundial dated June 21st, 2022, containing the details of the matters to be put before this meeting, the forms of proxy and form of letter of transmittal were sent to each shareholder of record and entitled to vote at this meeting as of June 21st, 2022. I now ask the Secretary to confirm this.
Mr. Chair, I have before me a true copy of the notice of meeting, together with the statutory declaration from Odyssey Trust Company as to the mailing of the notice of meeting, information circular, forms of proxy, and form of letter of transmittal. Declaration indicates that all documents were mailed within the time periods required by the bylaws of Sundial and by applicable Canadian corporate and securities laws.
Proof of service has been duly filed, and I direct that copies of the notice and statutory declaration be kept by the Secretary with the minutes of this meeting. The current bylaws of Sundial provide that a quorum for any meeting is 2 persons present in person or by proxy, holding or representing not less than 25% of the outstanding shares of Sundial entitled to vote at the meeting. I will now ask the Secretary to read the scrutineer's report on attendance at the meeting.
The scrutineer's report indicates that there are at least 130 registered shareholders or duly appointed proxy holders present at the meeting, representing 308,656,583 common shares, or 12.95% of the outstanding share capital of Sundial represented at this meeting.
The scrutineer's report indicates that this meeting does not meet the quorum requirement established by the bylaws of Sundial and the interim order granted by the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta in respect of this meeting. I am also informed that Section 138, subsection 3 of the Business Corporations Act in Alberta requires that when a quorum is not present, the only business that may be conducted at that meeting is to adjourn the meeting to another time. The rules applicable to such adjournment are found in bylaw number 1 of the corporation and the interim order. Section 4 of the interim order states that if within 30 minutes of the time appointed for the meeting, a quorum is not present, the meeting must be adjourned to a date that is not less than 2 and not more than 30 days later, as may be determined by the chair of the meeting. I therefore hereby announce that this meeting is adjourned until Monday, July 25th at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. This information and any additional details will be announced and posted to Sundial's website, SEDAR, and EDGAR as the news release is confirmed later this afternoon. To confirm, this meeting will reconvene virtually on Monday, July 25th at 8 a.m. MST. We will conduct the business of the annual and special meeting of Sundial at this time. We will now briefly pause in case there are any shareholder questions related to this adjournment. We have received no questions or requests for clarification regarding the adjournment. Thank you for your attendance today. The meeting is now adjourned.